Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 1, Chapter 25. As you see, continued Nikolai Levin, frowning and speaking with effort, so great was his agitation that he did not know what to do or to say. But do you see? And he pointed to the corner of the room where lay some iron bars attached to straps. Do you see that? That's the beginning of a new work which we are undertaking. This work belongs to a productive labor association. Constantine scarcely listened. He was looking at his brother's sick, consumptive face, and his pity grew upon him, and he could not heed what his brother was saying about the labor association. He saw that the work was only an anchor of safety to keep him from absolute self-abasement. Nikolai went on to say, "You know that capital is crushing the laborer. The laboring classes with us are the muzhiks, and they bear the whole weight of toil, and no matter how they exert themselves, they can never get above their condition of laboring cattle. All the advantages that their productive labor creates, all that could better their lot, give them leisure and therefore instruction, all our superfluous profits are swallowed up by the capitalists. And society is so constituted that the harder they work, the more the proprietors and the merchants fatten at their expense, while they remain beasts of burden still. And this must be changed." He finished speaking and looking at his brother. "Yes, of course," replied Constantine, looking at the pink spots which burned in his brother's hollow cheeks. "And we are organizing an artel of locksmiths where all will be in common, work, profits, and even the tools." "Where will this artel be situated?" asked Constantine. "In the village of Ostrom, government of Kazan." "Yes, but why in a village? In the villages, it seems to me, there's plenty of work. Why associated locksmiths in a village?" "Because the muzhiks are serfs, just as much as they ever were, and you and Sergei Ivanovitch don't like it because we want to free them from this slavery," replied Nikolai, vexed by his brother's question. While he spoke, Constantine was looking about the melancholy, dirty room. He sighed, and his sigh made Nikolai still more angry. "I know the aristocratic prejudices of such men as you and Sergei Ivanovitch. I know that he is spending all the strength of his mind in defense of the evils which crush us." "No, but why do you speak of Sergei Ivanovitch?" asked Levin, smiling. "Sergei Ivanovitch? This is why," cried Nikolai at the mention of Sergei Ivanovitch. "This is why. Yet, what is the good? Tell me this, what did you come here for? You despise all this. Very good. Go away, for God's sake," he cried, rising from his chair. "Go away, go away." "I don't despise anything," said Constantine gently. "I only refrain from discussing." At this moment, Marya Nikolaevna came in. Nikolai turned towards her angrily, but she quickly stepped up to him and whispered a few words in his ear. "I'm not well. I easily become irritable," he explained, calmer and breathing with difficulty. "And you just spoke to me about Sergei Ivanovitch and his article. It's so utterly insane, so false, so full of error. How can a man who knows nothing about justice write on the subject? Have you read this article?" said he, turning to Kritsky, and then, going to the table, he brushed off the half-rolled cigarettes. "I have not read it," replied Kritsky with a gloomy face, evidently not wishing to take part in the conversation. "Why?" demanded Nikolai irritably. "Because I don't care to waste my time. That is, excuse me, how do you know that it would be a waste of time? For many people this article is unget-at-able because it is above them, but I find it different. I see the thoughts through and through, and know wherein it is weak." No one replied. Kritsky immediately arose and took his shapka. "Won't you take some lunch? Goodbye. Come tomorrow with a locksmith." Kritsky had hardly left the room when Nikolai smiled and winked. "He is to be pitied, but I see." Kritsky, calling at the door, interrupted him. "What do you want?" he asked, joining him in the corridor. Left alone with Marya Nikolaevna, Levin said to her, "Have you been long with my brother?" "This is the second year. His health has become very feeble. He drinks a great deal," she said. What do you mean? He drinks vodka, and it's bad for him. Does he drink too much? Yes, said she, looking timidly towards the door where Nikolai Levin was just entering. What were you talking about? He demanded with a scowl, and looking from one to the other with angry eyes. Tell me. Oh, nothing, replied Konstantin in confusion. You don't want to answer. All right, don't. But you have no business to be talking with her. She is a girl. You are a gentleman, he shouted with the twitching of his neck. I see that you have understood everything and judged everything, and that you took with scorn on the errors of my ways. He went on speaking, raising his voice. Nikolai Dmitrich, murmured Marya Nikolaevna, coming closer to him. Very good, very good. Supper, then? Ah, here it is, he said, seeing a servant entering with a platter. Here, put it here, he said crossly. Then, taking the vodka, he poured out a glass and drank it eagerly. Will you have a drink? He asked his brother. The sudden cloud had passed. No more, Sergei Ivanovitch. I'm very glad to see you. Henceforth can't say that we are not friends. No, drink. Tell me what you are doing, he said, taking a piece of bread and pouring out a second glass. How do you live? I live alone in the country, as I always have, and busy myself with farming, replied Konstantin, looking with terror at the eagerness with which his brother ate and drank, and trying to hide his impressions. Why don't you get married? I haven't come to that yet, replied Konstantin, blushing. Why so? For me, it's all over. I've wasted my life. This I have said, and always shall say, that if they had given me my share of the estate when I needed it, my whole life would have been different. Konstantin hastened to change the conversation. Did you know that your Vanyushka is with me at Pokrovsky as a bookkeeper? He said. Nikolai's neck twitched, and he sank into thought. Da! Tell me, what is doing at Pokrovsky? Is the house just the same? And the birches in her study room? Is Philip, the gardener, still alive? How I remember the summer house and the sofa. Da! Don't let anything in the house be changed, but get a wife right away and begin to live as you used to. I'll come to visit you if you will get a good wife. Then come now with me, said Konstantin. How well we would get along together. I would come if I weren't afraid of meeting Sergei Ivanovitch. You would not meet him. I live absolutely independent of him. Yes, but whatever you say, you would have to choose between him and me, said Nikolai, looking timorously in his brother's eyes. This timidity touched Konstantin. If you want to hear my whole confession as to this matter, I will tell you that I take sides neither with you nor with him in your quarrel. You're both in the wrong, but in your case the wrong is external, while in his the wrong is inward. Ha! Do you understand it? Do you understand it? Cried Nikolai with an expression of joy. But I, for my part, if you would like to know, value your friendship higher, because... Why? Konstantin could not say what it was, because Nikolai was sick and needed his friendship, but Nikolai understood that was what he meant, and frowning darkly, he betook himself to the vodka. Enough, Nikolai Dmitrich, cried Marya Nikolaevna, laying her great pudgy hand on the decanter. Let me alone, don't bother me, or I'll strike you, he cried. Marya Nikolaevna smiled with her gentle and good-natured smile, which pacified Nikolai, and she took the vodka. There, do you think that she does not understand things? Said Nikolai. She understands this thing better than all of you. Isn't there something about her good and gentle? Haven't you ever been in Moscow before? Said Konstantin, in order to say something to her. Da, don't say voi to her. It frightens her. No one said voi to her except the justice of the peace, when they had her up because she wanted to escape from the house of ill fame where she was. My God, how senseless everything is in this world, he suddenly exclaimed. These new institutions, these justices of the peace, these zemstvo, what abominations! And he began to relate his experiences with the new institutions. Konstantin listened to him, and the criticisms on the absurdity of the new institutions, which he had himself often expressed, now that he heard them from his brother's lips, seemed disagreeable to him. We shall find out all about it in the next world, he said jestingly. In the next world? Ugh! I don't like your next world. I don't like it. he repeated, fixing his timid, haggard eyes on his brother's face. And yet it would seem good to go from these abominations, this chaos, from this unnatural state of things, from oneself. But I'm afraid of death. I'm horribly afraid of death, he shuddered. Da, drink something. Would you like some champagne, or would you rather go out somewhere? Let's go and see the gypsies. You know I'm very fond of gypsies and Russian folk songs. His speech grew thick, and he hurried from one subject to another. Constantine, with Masha's aid, persuaded him to stay at home, and they put him on the bed completely drunk. Masha promised to write Constantine in case of need, and to persuade Nikolai Levin to come and live with his brother.